Hey everyone, it's the Ioniq guy. You joined me today from my hotel room here in Los Angeles, and that's because I flew out here to take a look at all these awesome new cars at the LA Auto Show. And specifically, you guys have probably already heard, the Ioniq 9 all-electric 3-row SUV was officially unveiled. It was the world premiere. Full transparency, Hyundai was nice enough to invite me out to the Goldstein house in Beverly Hills for the launch party. But unlike a lot of other journalists out here, I paid for my own travel. So yesterday was media day at the LA Auto Show. And this is my first auto show, super fun. I met a lot of cool people. Specifically, shout out to Marty from Marty Motoring. He's another Ioniq 6 owner and he shoots videos for Redline Reviews. So I hung out with him. I met Sofyan from Redline yesterday, Roman from TFL. I met Alex from Alex on Autos, or Auto Buyer's Guide now. Just really cool to finally meet all these people and see familiar faces that I've seen for years now. But enough about that. Let's talk about everything that was announced from Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis at this event. I'll start out by saying Hyundai and Kia dominated this auto show. Hyundai had what seemed to be one of the biggest booths here, and Kia, which was on the opposite side of the convention center, I guess just because they're direct competitors here in the US, they also had a pretty big booth, and they had some really cool concept cars there. But obviously, Ioniq 9 was the big reveal here. I gotta say, at first, when they pulled the cover off of it, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But spending the last 24 hours kind of walking around it, I got to go for a drive in one. I also interviewed their product planner in one. That will be in a separate video because it's going to be a little long. It's kind of growing on me. It didn't stay perfectly true to the concept car revealed 3 years ago, but I think that's okay. I feel like the red LEDs in the back of the car, that little section in the middle that juts out, just kind of irks me. I just wish it was one straight line of pixels up the D-pillar there, but it's not. I think the front end looks pretty good. I think they might have done a little too much with the pixel lighting. I feel like it didn't need the extra lower ones that they ended up putting in. I think looking at it from the side and seeing the silhouette is the best angle for the car. I didn't get to spend a ton of time on the interior, but I think I really like it. Oddly enough, they're doing some of the same color combinations as the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6 with the dark green interior, which you guys know I'm a big fan of. The inside of this car is massive. Second row seating is very impressive. I did get in the third row, and it was a little tighter than I thought it would be. It felt a little comparable to the EV9, which, considering they're saying this car is huge and it's over 200 inches long with their longest wheelbase ever, I was kind of expecting a little bit more, but again, I am 6'2". I'm kind of at the upper end of the spectrum in terms of who you would even be thinking about sticking in that third row. If you're under 6 feet, you'll probably be okay, especially if the second row passengers can move the seat forward a little bit. But yeah, the interior is really nice. We're gonna do a separate video to talk just about the Ioniq 9. Some of the other highlights of the Ioniq 9 though, before we move on: 110 kilowatt hour battery pack. That is the biggest battery Hyundai has ever put in one of their EVs. It still retains that 10 to 80% charge time of 24 minutes, which is the same as Kia EV9, but you're gonna have to take into account that the EV9 has 11 kilowatt hours less in their battery pack. I have to imagine this thing is probably gonna peak at 270, 275 kilowatts. It is going to come with the NACS charge port, the J3400, for utilizing Tesla superchargers. From the get-go, it's going to be built here in the United States at the Georgia Meta plant. So they're saying it's going to qualify for the full $7,500 tax credit, but based on rumors that have been swirling, the Trump administration is going to axe those, so it's really not going to matter anyway, which is rather unfortunate for Hyundai, who has invested $13 billion into the US market. So Hyundai is saying this is going to be on sale the first half of 2025, so within 6 months, 7 months, we should start seeing these things for sale. Because this was a global launch, they didn't talk specifics about trim levels or pricing for the United States market. I really hope that they can keep this thing under 60K. Hyundai is also quoting over 300 miles of range in all trim levels of the Ioniq 9. Now, they specifically call out the European standard for range estimates, which is called WLTP, and they say 620 kilometers. If you convert that, that's 385.3 kilometers of range, but WLTP always overestimates, so that is definitely going to decrease when it's tested on the EPA cycle. All right, so that's Ioniq 9. Stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed because I'm going to have a dedicated video where we talk only Ioniq 9. Moving on to Ioniq 6. They had a 2025 limited, which is basically the only trim that sees any meaningful change for the 2025 model year, and that is the addition of a head-up display. You can see some B-roll right here. Yeah, but that was pretty much it for the Ioniq 6. Next year, we will be seeing a refresh just like with the 2025 Ioniq 5, so that is coming. Now, let's talk about Ioniq 5, because obviously most of you are Ioniq 5 owners here, and you guys know I'm planning to get a 2025 Ioniq 5. I wasn't invited to any of the previous events for the car, so this was my very first time getting to actually see the 2025. I spent time with both the normal as well as the XRT trim. So starting with the XRT, honestly, it kind of grew on me. So when they first revealed it, I was just like, that is ugly, not a fan. Personally, I don't really off-road, so I don't really care about having a little bit more ground clearance. The digital camo actually looks kind of cool in person. People who really gravitate towards that outdoor lifestyle and do a lot of camping, they're probably going to be really into this. I'm not going to completely nix it from possibly getting one, but for sure, it's still below the normal Ioniq 5. So then I went and checked out the normal Ioniq 5 Limited, and I gotta say it looks really nice in person. I like all the exterior changes they made. Obviously, it comes with the North American charging standard, just like the Ioniq 9 will. It's got the rear windshield wiper. And then getting in the car, I really like the new center console. It just feels so much more natural. When you get in, that armrest is just at the perfect height to get in, drop your phone in the new location for the wireless charging pad, considering you now have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And then right there, you've got your buttons for heated, cooled seats, heated steering wheel if it comes equipped with that. I don't really dump a whole lot of stuff into that center console, so having the cup holders more forward and then having the larger opening has really never done much for me because I'm not dropping a giant purse in there. I can understand if you're a woman and you want to drop a big purse in there, it's probably a less perfect design for you in the 2025. And you guys heard me say that I don't really like the 3-spoke steering wheel when I first saw it, but having sat in the car, the 3-spoke, it's fine. The blacked out bezel around the driver display and the infotainment screen looks good. One thing that I checked out in the back seat was the new cutouts where the seat belt can get twisted up and rattle. And I know they were trying to make that cutout a little larger, but I don't know if they made it large enough. I kind of twisted up the seat belt just to see what it looked like. And it looks like that seat belt will still probably rattle, but I'm obviously going to test that when I get the car. But all in all, I am very excited for the new Ioniq 5. That pretty much does it for Hyundai. Let's move on to Genesis, their luxury division. So the 2026 Genesis electrified GV70 now comes with some redesigned front and rear fascias. On the dashboard, the infotainment screen is now 27 inches diagonally. It's an OLED, so it's a connected driver display that morphs into the infotainment display, unlike in the 2025 version, which just had 2 separate screens. You've got new climate control switches, a new design for the center console. It looks nice. They've kind of eliminated that deep drop-in cell phone charging bin. They've now turned it into just a flat Qi wireless charging pad near the back. Just like the Ioniq 5, the GV70 is getting the new 84 kilowatt hour battery pack, so expect a little bit more range, maybe 15 to 20 miles. I'm going to have to test it in the real world. And something I wasn't really expecting is the GV70 is going to come with the North American charging standard J3400 charge port. So this is just really proliferating across their lineup now. So Hyundai's all in, Genesis is all in. I'd imagine the GV60 is going to get it when that is refreshed soon as well. What's nice about the GV70 is the placement is almost perfect for superchargers as they exist today, because that charge port is just off the center line of the front end of the car. So I think most V3 superchargers are probably going to be able to hit that charge port pretty easily. The 2026 electrified GV70 is going to go on sale the first half of 2025. Last but not least, Kia, which had some surprising announcements today. So first, the Kia EV9 GT, the sporty version of the big boxy SUV that you all know and love. The spy photos have been going out for a long time now, so we knew it was coming, but I wasn't sure it was going to come at this event. So we finally found out some of the details about it. 501 horsepower. I really thought it was going to be more than that. It has a projected 0 to 60 time of 4.3 seconds. Now, it's a big machine. It's a very big machine, but for the GT, I thought it was going to be quicker. The EV6 GT is a lot faster than that, and I thought that it would be more in line with the EV6, but it's not. The EV9 GT line does 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds, so you're gaining about 0.7 seconds in terms of 0 to 60, which I guess is a decent amount when you think of it as a percentage increase, but 0.7 seconds, whether it's going to be worth the extra cash for you, I don't really know. It has an electronically controlled suspension, which is the first for a Kia SUV. Of course, it has all those lime green accents on the calipers, on the steering wheel, the interior bits and bobs. There's a green GT line button on the steering wheel, which will give you that crazy sport mode, which a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with. It's going to have the artificial gear shifting, which is very similar to the Ioniq 5N. It's going to have an electronic limited slip differential, and it's also going to have the North American charging standard as well. And they did also mention all EV9s at some point in the first half of 2025 will begin shipping with the North American charging standard charge port. So my assumption that it wasn't going to come until a mid-cycle refresh of the EV9 was incorrect. It's definitely coming sooner than we thought. The EV9 GT is going to have 21-inch wheels, 285 45s, which are pretty big. The GT is also going to have a unique lighting pattern on the front end, which you have seen on existing EV9s, where you can purchase extra little designs if you want. The EV9 is also going to get the sport bucket seats with the suede Alcantara inserts. But that does it for the EV9. Let's talk about the last but not least EV6, which was the one that really surprised me. We already knew that the EV6 was getting refreshed for the new model year. We've seen it. I've made a video about it. The design is still not my favorite. So first off, the new EV6 is going to be built in Georgia here in the United States, starting for the new model year. Of course, the new EV6 is going to have that bigger 84 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that's going to lead to about 319 miles of estimated EPA range on all three trims, the light, the wind, and the GT line rear-wheel drive. The biggest surprise here was seeing that Kia relocated the charge port from the passenger rear fender to the driver rear fender to match the location of Teslas for utilization at superchargers. I was not expecting this. I actually was walking around the car with Sofyan looking at it, and I saw somebody push the button and open it. And so I saw that and I was like, wait, what? They moved it? The Ioniq 5 didn't get it moved, but EV6 did. So that was really surprising and it caught me off guard. I posted about it in the Facebook group and a lot of people were saying, well, that might be great for utilizing superchargers, but what about street side parking and wanting to charge? So there's benefits to each that I understand and see. And like I already mentioned, version 4 superchargers are going to eliminate that issue. So I can understand the argument that you might want it on the passenger side for street parking. The Kia EV6 GT, though, is going to continue having the charge port on the passenger side. And that is because that car is not going to be made in the United States. That one is going to be continued being built in Korea. So they don't have the tooling there. So only the normal EV6 is moving to the driver's side. Towing capacity has increased to 2,700 pounds, which is a pretty healthy number for a car of its size. And they also say that it will automatically detect trailer weight and adjust your range accordingly. So that's pretty cool. They did specifically call out in the event Digital Key 2, which uses ultra wideband technology, so you'll be able to just keep your phone in your pocket, unlock the doors, get in, start it, all without touching your phone. For those of you who like the lower trim EV6, Kia has now added auto-deploying door handles on the lower trims there. That wasn't available for 2022 through 2024 EV6. The EV6 GT is also getting more power, so it's going from 576 horsepower and 545 pound-feet to 641 horsepower and 568 pound-feet when you activate GT mode. Something I just read in the press release here, because I didn't get a chance to look at this yesterday, is now Kia is calling the ICCU something completely different from what Hyundai is calling it. Same acronym, different words. So Hyundai is either intelligent charging control unit or integrated charging control unit. They've used both interchangeably. I don't know why. And now Kia is saying integrated converter control unit. I don't know. I'm going to keep calling it the Intelligent Charging Control Unit because I'm pretty sure that was the first one that I read about years ago. Now Kia's just blowing it up and calling it something completely different. I just don't understand. The new EV6 is gaining all the new features that the Ioniq 5 is as well. The CCNC infotainment system, wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, full over-the-air updates for powertrain stuff like the EV9 already can do. The new EV6 has a new steering wheel, which again, at first I didn't really like all that much, but seeing it in person, I think it looks pretty nice. Slightly updated center console, but nothing major. The Ioniq 5 is definitely a bigger change there. And then new wheel designs across the board. I'm gonna make a separate video where we go over all the new trims of the EV6 for 2025, but for now, I think that's gonna do it for this video. There was actually a lot of stuff. I wasn't anticipating all this big news. So anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments section, are any of these cars going to be your next vehicle? Let me know. As always, if you guys liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Check out my store at ioniqguy.com for accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV, including my automatic walk-away door lock device, which when the last door on the car is shut, 10 seconds later, they will all lock. So no more forgetting your car is unlocked. So actually the other day I was at the gym at my apartment complex and I looked out the window at the charging stations and there was an Ioniq 5 sitting there parked charging. All door handles popped out. I was like, man, that person could really use my auto door lock device. So if you are interested in that, check that out, ioniqguy.com. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.